What are the 5 biggest narcissistic traits a woman can have? If you know the answer to these, you will navigate the world way better, because when you can identify narcissistic women, you don't have to include them into your life, and they will be in your life and drain you for resources until you learn. So instead of learning by mistake, learn from watching this video. First of all, a narcissistic woman, she bases her value on how pretty she feels. If she doesn't feel pretty, if her exterior doesn't look good, she feels valueless. And so in her head, she has to create a perfect image of herself by trying to not fix her exterior, but polishing it in a way that other people become attracted to her. So she will dress very well, and not necessarily well, but she will put a lot of effort into dressing what you call high status. She will dress with expensive brands. She will often use her body. If she has a nice body, she will use it to her advantage by showing parts of it, showing her legs, showing other parts of her body that is attractive, especially to men. And this is often how they reel in men, their victims, by using their appearance, because behind the appearance, inside of them, there is no substance, there is no value, there's nothing. It's a deep void. There's an ego gone loose who only searches for validation. And that is the second trait here. She is on a constant chase for validation. It's all about the validation, and the looks, the pretty exterior is part of it. She dresses well and tries to look as good as humanly possible, and she bases her value of her looks because she craves validation. Validation she probably didn't receive from her parents, or maybe she was bullied in school, so she never received proper, normal, healthy amounts of validation from the world around her. And so this is what she seeks. The narcissistic woman is on a constant adventure to seek out as much validation as inhumanly possible, and she will never get it. The more validation she gets, the less satisfied she gets, because validation is never what she really longs for. What she really longs for, and she doesn't know, is love. She just craves being seen by another human being for who she really is. But the more she chases this validation, the less she becomes herself. So the less chance anyone will see her and appreciate her for who she really is. And the men she ends up with is never enough for her either. So there's a big, deep black hole that can never be filled on her constant chase for validation. And so the third trait of a narcissistic woman is her constant chase for resources. She wants as much resources as humanly possible, and she will manipulate to get them. And what kind of resources are we talking about? She will want fancy cars, fancy dinners, fancy apartments, fancy clothes, as mentioned. Everything fancy, expensive, that proves she has access to a social circle with high status, because in narcissistic terms, high status is the amount of resources you have. And if you're on a billionaire's yacht, then you have access to vast resources, and that helps her feed the endless crave for validation. And this is where often men come into the picture, other men. She will find men who has resources. So if you're a man and you say you're not rich, but you pretend to be rich, you will draw in narcissistic women. And if you're a rich man, believe me, you'll draw in even more. And so that's just one more reason that a lot of rich people become miserable. For example, rich men, because they draw in women, narcissistic women, who are only dare to hurt them, to drain their pockets, to drain them from all their resources. Because when a narcissistic woman has drained the resources from a man, she can suddenly access even more resources. It's an endless battle. So she'll jump from a millionaire to a billionaire to a multi-billionaire, for example. And the fourth biggest trait then is she manipulates the people around her, the people in her social circle, her family, her friends. These are often the people, except for her boyfriend or husband, of course, who suffer the most, who suffer from her endless need for validation and her endless, call it, opportunity for manipulation. She never stops manipulating. The only thing holding down her ability to endlessly manipulate others is the fear of getting caught, right? She has to go under the radar. So why do these people suffer so much from her manipulation and her behavior and her endless need for validation? It's because she doesn't care about them. She is only with them because of what they can give her, what they can provide for her. So she will exploit them in any way necessary. For example, by talking to you for an hour. She can talk to you for an hour or two on the phone and tell her about her problems, and then just spend the bare minimum amount of energy necessary to make you feel heard and validated, so that you continue to give her the validation she needs. And she often has a lot of men in her social network that she spends time with alone or online, most often only online, to feed from their endless validation, to listen to her problems. These men will listen to her problems for hours a week and not crave anything in return, because they feel valuable only from being in her presence, because society has made the exterior looks of a woman so valuable compared to her whole being, which is sad. It's really sad. And this takes us to the last trait. She lacks empathy. All these four other traits are only possible because she lacks empathy. She has no clue to what is going on in other people's heads. Her whole world, her whole reality is just a reflection of her own inner misery. Everyone are just puppets in her game for validation. She doesn't care about humanity, she doesn't care about society, she doesn't care about animals, not her family, not her partner, not her friends. But what she does is she pretends to care. She puts on a mask, a facade, to make it seem as if she cares. Because if she can fool you into believing she cares about you, then you will think she's a good woman, you will think she's a good person, and she will put on this appearance as much as necessary to keep you on the hook, to have you in her social circle. And the more time you spend around her, the more she will nag at you, the more she will use techniques to downplay your confidence. So, because the less confident you feel, the more power she has, and the less effort she has to use on trying to be the person she really isn't. Because if she can make you feel totally unconfident, she can take the mask off and you won't even care. You won't escape. You will just continue to be there for her, continue to be her puppet in her game. So these are the 5 biggest traits of a narcissistic woman, and hopefully this can help you create a picture in your mind of who these women really are, because I'm 100% sure you've met tons of them.